Well, hello, I am Barry of Feldman Creative, and today I'm joined by the CEO and founder of Yotpo, and his name is Tomer Tagrin. Hey, Tomer, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's have a conversation about e-commerce. Ever heard of it?
Yeah,
You kind of live to make it happen, don't you? So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
it's certainly, I'm sold on the ideas. It's how I get my pet food. It's how I get my razors. But I think there's still a lot of trepidation, right? It's not easy to go shopping online and put complete trust in the seller.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest problems we're seeing, at least with e-com, that it's a two-way sword. On one hand, it's obvious that you need to go that way, and that's how businesses should be made today. But on the other hand, it's so hard to get consumer attention today. And nobody has time. There's so many things popping up. And from a very macro level, if you look at like the marketers of e-com website, they have like two very problematic trends ahead of them. One is ad tech on all the ad spend. Google and Facebook are leading the entire ad spend, and ROI is starting to be super, super hard, right? PPC prices went tremendously up, and it's very, very hard to prove any kind of ROI. Then, in order to deal with that, a lot of the gurus of the world tell us to, hey, you should also use content marketing, right? You should generate your own content, make it very, very quality, and distribute it to your customers. The problem with e-com and content marketing that it doesn't work. Why? A, it's not scalable. I cannot write 100 blog posts, 50 videos, 14 infographics on a monthly basis. It's super expensive to do on scale. And second is consumers do not believe what companies are saying today. There's a massive, massive authenticity problem. So that's one trend that is super, super problematic or challenging for the marketer, that the saturation of ad tech and the efficiency of content marketing. The other trend that we're seeing that is quite interesting and positive and negative is the emergence of consumer platform. So if you think about the marketer, back in the days, they had their own website. Maybe they did some Google stuff, SEO, SEM. Now, all of a sudden, you have Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, messaging, email marketing, and who the hell knows what's going to be in 3 years, right? And the emergence of consumer platform basically says my consumers or potential customers are everywhere now. And I need to be everywhere, and I need to market everywhere. And that's super, super hard from a budget standpoint, from an attention standpoint, from a team building standpoint. And those two trends, the emergence of consumer platform, that my customers are everywhere, and the fact that content marketing and ad tech is not working that well, relies like a massive, massive challenge and a massive opportunity for the marketer. And I think that's what we are super excited about e-com, that it's on the one hand super, super evolving and creates new challenges and new opportunities. But yeah, being like a VP marketing or a CMO or a director of marketing today at an e-commerce company is a hell of a challenging job.
Yeah, well, you sort of ended with a little glimmer of light there, but you painted this bleak picture of how intimidating and challenging it is to be an e-commerce company. So, given all those challenges and the low level of customer trust and the difficulty of getting through with the challenges of scaling your content, what's a poor e-commerce company to do? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so I'm an entrepreneur, so for me, like, problems and challenges are immediately an opportunity. So I actually like to be in an environment that is not easy. As for the best companies, it creates like a massive opportunity. And I think what we need to do is a few things. One is getting back to the basic. So many things are going to change in the next 10 years in terms of marketing, but I want to talk about the things that won't change and hasn't changed for the last 20 years. And the stuff that's not going to change is, one, people trust, or human beings trust other human beings. That's super, super important. And people trust other people more than anything else. And people want to buy from people. And I think and people need to trust before they can buy. And those are things that's been before the online world was existed. In the offline, when I'm going to a store, my favorite local store, that I trust, the seller that I'm meeting in the shop to tell me what he thinks is going to be the right fit for me, or what she thinks I like. because they know me. And I want to see what other people actually that bought that product are saying about it. And that we need to take also to the online world. So that's one thing, is getting back to the basic. And the second thing is I want to look at it in like a broader spectrum. So if you look at like one massive trend that's happening is, right, Amazon. That Amazon is basically one of the most successful companies that was founded on the notion of user-generated reviews and the community. So that's one. Second, you have companies in travel like TripAdvisor or Booking.com that completely dominate the entire travel industry, mainly again because of user-generated content. Third, you have even in employment, companies like Glassdoor that are doing phenomenally well. Again, why? Because of user-generated content. And I think businesses should look at that trend as like the most successful consumer companies, what they're doing, they're having long-term investment in their customers and in their customers' content. And that's what we recommend companies doing, is A, listen to your customers and build great products and great experiences. B, generate content from your customers and make sure that content is everywhere. You should stop market your product, you should start market your business, but you should start marketing what relevant customers are saying about your product, about your services, about your brand. And that starts from reviews to question and answers, to videos, to photos. Soon it's going to be VR and AR. No matter what the medium is going to be, I can tell you one thing that's not going to change is, again, people need to trust your brand. People need to trust your product. And the best way of doing that is through other people, other human beings.
Because the last person you trust is a marketer, right? Or a salesman. Right. So let's talk about social media. I mean, it's a channel that evolves quickly before our eyes every day. HubSpot recently came up with an interesting post, which was a list post. And on that list, number 3 was this idea that social media is becoming an avenue for sales. Is that accidental? I mean, people don't go, oh, I think I'll go shopping on Twitter, but indeed, most of the points they made perfect sense.
Yeah, so I think an interesting trend that we're seeing is that companies like Facebook, like Instagram now that just recently launched, Pinterest, are moving more and more towards the commerce experience and they want the shopping experience to happen at their medium. Why? Because they're trying to gather much more data, one, and much more power in front of the consumer. Now, I don't think people are saying, hey, I want to go to Twitter to buy something, but actually social media has been like, I want to say, a medium to discovery, to discover products. Meaning, like, I'm already on social media, hey, I'm seeing like those cool products. If I can buy at the same time I'm seeing it, that could be like a super interesting and a super powerful experience. When I know what I want to buy, I probably go to Amazon or to your own website to buy it. But if I don't know, just like in a discovery mode, that could be a super interesting experience. Now, that again means that if you look at those social media, those are by nature user-generated content platforms. And that means in order to do a good job in selling on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Snapchat, you got to make sure that the user-generated content that is generated through around your brand and from your customers serve the purpose of converting customers, but also having like a very, I want to say, delightful discovery experience. And that's a very hard thing to do. But that's the only way brands and businesses can survive. Think about, I don't know, I'm giving you in 5 years the job of the next VP marketing of the next Warby Parker. The only way for you to really build a phenomenal brand is actually take into advantage those opportunities that now consumers can buy on Instagram, they can buy on Pinterest, they can buy on Facebook. But that means you need to do a good job everywhere. And that's coming back in our belief that the only way to do a good job everywhere is to rely on people that are everywhere. Because you cannot build a 200 people team. So you got to magnify yourself through your customers.
Interesting. I guess we've discussed, like you brought up Glassdoor and Amazon, and what was the other one? TripAdvisor. Lots of examples of where people's decisions are made in sort of a classic social proof sort of way. I'm not sure if I should go left or I should go right. Oh, there's a like-minded person or a friend or somebody I trust, and they said I should go this way. Where do you think that fits into the funnel? I mean, a second ago when we were talking about social media, you introduced that as discoverability, but that kind of moves me further down the funnel, doesn't it? Like I'm thinking, all right, it's time to buy. Does user-generated content actually apply at all levels?
Yeah, so actually it's very interesting. I said we think a lot internally inside Yotpo about it, and where user-generated content fits. So in the beginning, right, like everybody knows, reviews, that was the most basic one of the type of user-generated content. It was mainly a tool for conversion rate. So very top of the funnel. I'm getting on a product page, I'm getting on, I don't know, a landing page, you want to convert me, put relevant reviews, you'll convert. And then what we learned actually that is super interesting through our partnership with the Facebooks, the Googlers, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Pinterest of the world, is that actually user-generated content can also be used in the acquisition and more higher up the funnel. You can use we developed new type of social ads, so in Facebook ads, in organic posts. So actually not just in conversion tool, but also as an acquisition tool. And I can tell you one of the things that excites us the most is also how can you use user-generated content as a retention tool, not just as a conversion acquisition, it's also actually further down the funnel. And our belief is that the brands that are going to really, really succeed, that really going to thrive in the world, are brands that's going to use their user-generated content in acquiring customers, converting customers, retaining customers, and also understanding customers. How can you use that content to better understand your customers? And all that feels to a complete customer life cycle. And this is exactly, I think, the way the world is going to, and exactly where the best brands in the world are actually doing a phenomenal job in that.
I love that, especially kind of surprisingly having heard you brought up the idea of retention, right? Because a customer that sticks around and buys regularly is obviously worth a lot more. So we're talking about increasing the lifetime value of a customer, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's, again, one trend that you see that is all the subscription e-commerce. They're trying to have like a recurrent experience on the website. That's one. And second, if you look at the difference between B2B and B2C, is B2B understood very, very fast that we shouldn't look at customers as a one-time off. But if you have something that is recurrent in our world, like software as a service, as an example, and you have repeat customers, and you shouldn't look at like what's the order value of a customer, but you should look at like customer lifetime value and what's the worth of a customer through their entire lifetime, and then you can know what's the right investment you can put in order to bring that customer. So as an example, if a customer pays me $10 a year, but every year they buy at my website for an average of 4 years, so a customer is actually worth me $40 and not $10. And I think as time goes by, B2C companies and e-commerce companies are starting to understand that because acquisition is so hard, and conversion is so hard, once you are able to convert, you should put a lot of resources on retention and actually increase the customer lifetime value and not necessarily increase the amount of customers that you have. And that's another great way to increase the company's revenues.
Yeah, boy, fascinating conversation. E-commerce has really changed the dialogue, and it seems like it's not new. I've been buying stuff online for decades, but it's always new. There's always something new. And
exactly.
Great new solutions. All right. Well, thank you for shedding light on so many interesting topics as it relates to user-generated content and its role in e-commerce. Again, that is Tomer Tagrin from Yotpo. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.